everyone. So today we will be discussing the assigned task. Let us first define what is polygraph. So polygraph, it is also known as lie detector test. It is a procedure that detects several physiological indicators including pulse, blood pressure, respiration, and skin conductivity. Receptive response to a question causes a reaction such as fear of detection or psychological arousal, and that changes the respiration rate, pulse rate, blood pressure, or skin conductance. That is why it is also important to ask irrelevant questions to record the subject normal rate. So now let us proceed to polygraphy. So polygraphy, it is a scientific method of detecting deception with the use of polygraph instrument. Don't be confused between the two, the polygraph and polygraphy. So when we say polygraphy, it is the scientific detection of deception with the use or aid of polygraph instrument. While the polygraphy, it is a device or an instrument capable of recording the pulse, blood pressure, respiration, and skin conductivity.
Next topic is personalities in the development of deception, detection, and polygraph. There are several personalities have played crucial roles in the development of deception, detection, and the polygraph. Some notable figures include first, William Moulton Marston, an American psychologist who, in the early 20th century, contributed to the development of the systolic blood pressure test, an early form of lie detection. Marston is also known as the creator of the comic book character Wonder Woman. Second one is Leonard Keeler, co-inventor of the modern polygraph. Keeler introduced the first polygraph machine in the 1920s. His work laid the foundation for the use of multiple psychological measurements in deception detection. Third one is John E. Reed, a police officer and polygraph expert. Reed developed the Reed technique, an interrogation method widely used in law enforcement. While not directly related to the polygraph, his contributions to interrogation practices have influenced the field of deception detection. Four major components of analog polygraph. First is galvanic skin response sensor. Measure changes in skin conductivity, reflecting emotional arousal and sweat gland activity. Increased sweating can indicate stress or nervousness. Second is pneumograph. Monitors respiratory patterns, helping to detect irregular breathing or changes in breathing rate. Inconsistent breathing may be associated with deception. Next is blood pressure cuff. Records variation in blood pressure, which can be influenced by stress or anxiety. Sudden spikes or drops may be indicative of deceptive behavior. Next is last one is polygraph chart recorder. Graphically displays the psychological data collected from the sensor over time. Examiners analyze patterns and fluctuations in the charts to interpret the subject responses during questioning.
The chart or polygrams generated by an analog polygraph machine provide a visual presentation of the physiological responses of the examinee during a polygraph examinations. Here's my explanations on the key elements. Respiration polygram. The polygram represents the examinee's breathing patterns. It typically consists of rhythmic waves with peaks corresponding to inhalation and through corresponding to exhalation. Changes in the amplitude or frequency of the waves may indicate stress or anxiety. 2 is cardiovascular polygram. This polygram shows the examinee's heart rate and blood pressure. It often appears as a series of peaks and valleys, with each peak representing a heartbeat. Sudden spikes of fluctuations in the baseline can suggest increased arousal or emotional response. 3 is galvanic skin response, GSR polygram. This polygram reflects changes in the examinee's skin conductance which can indicate changes in emotional or arousal stress levels. It typically shows as upward spikes or peaks when the skin conductance increase, often responds to emotionally charged stimuli. Each polygram is recorded stimulously on the chart paper, allowing examiners to compare and analyze the patterns of physiological response across different parameters. The other parts of analog polygraph machine. One is pneumograph. This component consists of two rubber tubes connected to the chest plate when worn by examinee. As the examinee breathes, the movement of air in and out of the lungs cause. These are the other parts of analog polygraph machine. One is pneumograph. These components consist of two rubber tubes connected to a chest plate worn by examinee. As the examinee breathes, the movement of air in and out of the lungs cause the rubber tubes to expand and contract, which is measured by the polygraph to detect changes in breathing patterns. Two is cardiograph. The cardiograph typically includes electrodes or sensors placed on the examinee body to measure heart rate and blood pressure. Changes in heart rate and blood pressure can indicate physiological arousal, which may associated with deception. Three is galvanic skin response or GSR sensors. GSR sensors are electrodes typically placed on the fingers or palm of the examinee hand. These sensors detect changes in skin conductivity caused by sweat gland activity. Increased sweat gland activity, often associated with emotional arousal or stress, can be an indicator or deception. 4. Polygraph chart paper. The chart paper is usually a long roll of paper that moves past the pens or styluses as the examination progresses. The paper is typically marked with green lines to facilitate the interpretation of the recorded physiological responses. 5. Control panel. Control panel allows the examiner to start and stop the recording of physiological responses, adjust sensitivity setting for the sensors, and calibrate the machine as needed. It may also include a display screen for monitoring the real-time output of the sensor. 6. Recording mechanism. This mechanism synchronizes the movement of the chart paper with detection of physiological responses, ensuring that the recorded data accurately reflects the examinee's reactions during the examinations. 7. Polygraph chart recorder. This is the device that records physiological response detected by the pneumograph, cardiograph, and galvanograph onto a paper chart. It usually consists of multiple pens or styluses that move across the chart paper, creating graphical representations of the physiological response over time. 8. Control panel. This is the interface that allows the examiner to control the polygraph machine, including starting and stopping the recording, adjusting the sensitivity of sensors, and monitoring the physiological response in real time. 9. Interrogation room setup. The interrogation room is where the polygraph examination takes place. It typically includes chairs of the examinee and examiner, along with appropriate lighting and privacy measures to ensure a comfortable and controlled environment of the examination. The analog polygraph machine works by measuring and recording changes in physiological activity, such as breathing patterns, heart rate, blood pressure, and skin conductivity, which are believed to be associated with stress and deception. These recordings are then interpreted by the examiner to determine whether the subject is being truthful or deceptive. That's all.
So, a pleasant afternoon to everyone, especially sir. So, my topic for today's report is all about type of polygraph. So, first is polygraph. So, there's a meaning of polygraph. So, my meaning of polygraph is, based on my research, is polygraph, also known as a lie detector, typically measure psychological responses such as heart rate, blood pressure, respiration rate, and skin conductivity. There are different types of polygraph. So, included, first is conventional polygraph. Second is voice trace analysis. Third is computerized polygraph. So, first is conventional polygraph. The meaning of this is to measure the psychological responses to a series of questions or determine if someone is lying. So, second is voice trace analysis. So, to analyze the changes in the voice, no? Such as pitch and frequency, which are believed to indicate stress or deception. Third is computerized polygraph. So, computerized polygraph is uses computer software to analyze psychological responses and determine deception. So, the meaning of this result can be very vary depending on the context and the interpretation of an examiner. Typically, increase to psychological responses during specific question may indicate deception, but polygraph result are infallible and can be influenced by factors such as anxiety or nervous, therefore are not admissible as evidence in the court system. My second topic is all about the general uses of polygraph. So, polygraph are used of various purposes included by pre-employment, screening, criminal investigation, probation and parole monitoring, security clearance investigation, internal investigation, screening of specific incident. So, first is pre-employment screening. Some of employers use polygraph test to screen potential employee, especially for position that involve security or handling sensitive information. And the second is criminal investigation law. Criminal investigation law enforcement agencies may use polygraph as investigative tool to gather information to assess the credibility information or assess the credibility of suspect witnesses or person of interest. So, probation and parole monitoring. Polygraph can be used to monitor individual or probation or parole to ensure compliance with the terms of their release. So, fourth is security clearance investigation. Government agencies may use the polygraph as part of security clearance and process to assess an individual trustworthiness and reliability. So, fifth is internal investigation. Internal investigation employer may be used polygraph to investigate incidents such as theft, fraud, or workplace misconduct. So, six is screening for a specific incident. So, screening for specific incident, polygraph can be used to investigate especially incidents such as workplace accident or allegation of misconduct. So, the important of this is to note that while polygraph has various applicable, their accuracy and reliability have been questioned, and they are not considered definitive investigative evidence in many jurisdictions.
Polygraph theory assumes that lying involves physiological changes due to a fear of detection. The polygraph examination consists of three phases: pre-test interview, testing and a post-test, which may be an interrogation if the results warrant. Next is psychology of lying. Lying is a part of communication and a form of social behavior which is involved interaction with others. Lying means saying a statement that she knows themselves are false so others to whom he or she want to perceive it is true. It can be explained by different psychological principles of psychodynamic theory, humanistic theory, behavior theory, and etc. Lying arises from hedonistic nature of humans that to avoid pain and increase pleasure. It can be also seen that we lies and only for personal gains but also for others' gain too.
Nervous system include brain, spinal cord, and a complex network of nerves. This system send messages back and forth between the brain and the body. The brain is what all controls the body functions. The reason why these systems are being monitored is that they each reflect arousal of the autonomic or involuntary nervous system. And that would be all. Thank you.